Across history, few forms of control have left deeper marks, both physical and psychological, than corporal punishment. From ancient whippings in public squares to a father's belt spanking at home, the use of pain to teach obedience is as old as civilization itself. Why have so many societies across the world relied on this method for so long? And why are some still holding on to it, even as others turn away? This video takes you on a journey through the painful, controversial, and deeply human story of corporal punishment, one that is far from over. What is corporal punishment really? Corporal punishment refers to the intentional infliction of physical pain on a person as a form of punishment or discipline. It includes a wide range of practices, from spanking children at home to the judicial flogging of prisoners. Often, it's administered using the hand, a belt, a cane, a strap, or a whip. Its purpose is straightforward: to cause immediate pain in the hope of correcting behavior. But behind that simple aim lies a long and complicated history of power, tradition, and control. The targets of corporal punishment have ranged from children to adults, from students to slaves, each shaped by the cultural and legal norms of their time. How did ancient civilizations use corporal punishment? From the beginning of recorded history, corporal punishment was a cornerstone of justice. In ancient Egypt, criminals could be flogged or disfigured. In ancient Israel, the law limited punishment to 40 lashes, believing anything more would be excessive. Ancient Greece and Rome also embraced physical punishment. Roman citizens could receive up to 40 lashes with a whip or a bundle of rods, known as the fasces. These public beatings were meant not just to correct, but to shame. In Sparta, beatings were part of military training, inflicted to toughen boys into warriors. How did religion and education reinforce corporal punishment? Corporal punishment took firm root in religious and educational institutions. The Bible, particularly the book of Proverbs, contains verses that have long been interpreted as endorsing physical discipline. Spare the rod, spoil the child. In Christian Europe, these teachings influenced the culture deeply. Monastic schools often used flogging as a way to drive out sin and teach obedience. During the Middle Ages, schools across Europe used canes and birches to punish students for disobedience or laziness. Teachers believed fear and pain were necessary tools to instill discipline and respect. Even minor infractions could lead to severe beatings. In many institutions, flogging was so common that special records were kept to track it. These traditions lasted well into the modern era. How was corporal punishment used at home? In the home, corporal punishment became part of family life. Parents, particularly fathers, were expected to discipline their children using physical means. The belt was always within reach. A slipper, wooden spoon, or switch could be pulled from a drawer without warning. This wasn't only seen as normal, it was seen as necessary. A disobedient child was considered a danger to the family's reputation and future. Punishment was often swift and private. Unlike the formal canings of the classroom, domestic spankings were usually delivered in the heat of the moment. Many adults today recall the rituals of childhood punishment, being told to bend over, pull down trousers, and wait for the first sting. Some describe these events as traumatic. Others see them as a product of their time. Across cultures, domestic corporal punishment varied in intensity and method, but the message was the same. Pain teaches obedience. How did legal and military systems use corporal punishment? While corporal punishment was common in households and schools, it also featured prominently in legal and military systems. In many countries, criminals could be sentenced to whipping, caning, or even branding. In the Roman Empire, public beatings were used to punish theft or rebellion. In Britain, the cat-o'-nine-tails was a feared implement used on sailors and prisoners. Sentences of 50 or even 100 lashes were not uncommon. Military discipline also relied on corporal punishment. In the British Navy, flogging was used to maintain order aboard ships. Soldiers could be lashed for insubordination or desertion. These punishments were often public spectacles, meant to terrify others into obedience. Even in the 20th century, some military academies and prisons retained corporal punishment as a tool for control. The beatings were often brutal, carried out with paddles, whips, or wooden rods. In some regimes, like Nazi Germany, these punishments became instruments of political oppression. What role did corporal punishment play in schools? Until surprisingly recently, corporal punishment was an everyday part of school life in many countries. Teachers used canes, rulers, and paddles to discipline children for talking out of turn, being late, or failing exams. In the UK, the slipper or the cane was used until the 1980s. In the US, paddling remains legal in some states to this day. These punishments were often formal. Students were sent to the headmaster's office, told to bend over, and struck a fixed number of times. But sometimes they were more spontaneous, administered in front of the class to humiliate and warn others. Some schools kept punishment books to record each incident. Over time, public opinion shifted. Stories of children injured or traumatized by school beatings led to growing criticism. Human rights organizations and child psychologists began to argue that physical discipline was not just ineffective, but harmful. Slowly, laws began to change. When did the world start to change its mind? The Age of Enlightenment brought with it a new wave of thinking. Philosophers like John Locke challenged the idea that pain was an effective teacher. His book, Some Thoughts Concerning Education, argued for kindness, reasoning, and dialogue instead of beatings. The influence of thinkers like Locke led to gradual legal reforms across Europe. By the 19th century, countries like Poland began to ban corporal punishment in schools. In England, major scandals involving the deaths of children after beatings sparked outrage and calls for change. Reformers argued that corporal punishment reflected outdated views of authority and human nature. Still, change was slow. While judicial flogging disappeared from many European countries, school and domestic punishment persisted well into the 20th century. Only with the rise of psychology and children's rights movements did large-scale bans begin to take hold. Is corporal punishment still legal today? Today, 67 countries have outlawed corporal punishment of children entirely, at home, in school, and in institutions. Most of these are in Europe and Latin America. Sweden was the first, banning all forms of corporal punishment in 1979. Other nations followed, influenced by growing research on child development and international human rights standards. But not all countries have followed this path. In parts of Africa, Asia, and the southern United States, corporal punishment remains legal and widely practiced. In Singapore and Malaysia, caning is still used in schools and even as a criminal sentence. In some Islamic nations, flogging is still part of the legal system, used for offenses like theft or moral violations. Cultural attitudes play a major role. In many traditional societies, corporal punishment is seen as a family matter, a sign of love, or a necessary part of growing up. Efforts to ban it are sometimes viewed as Western interference. What do you think about corporal punishment? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you'd like to learn more about punishment worldwide and throughout the ages, don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos.